howdy, hey, how's everybody doing? And welcome back to Disney Daily. So I just got home from watching Disney's newest movie, Encanto, and I'm not gonna keep you guys waiting. I absolutely loved it. I can't say enough good things about this movie. It's a 10 out of 10, 2 thumbs up. It's truly extraordinary, and I highly recommend that you guys go see it as soon as you possibly can. This movie really had a little bit of everything that I personally look for in a movie. It had action, it had comedy, it had messages, like hidden messages throughout, it had memorable characters, it had an outstanding soundtrack. It was just a great movie. I'm still kind of speechless because I didn't write a script or anything for this. I'm kind of just going on the fly, talking about what I liked, what I didn't like, and I can't say enough good things about this movie. It honestly was even more special because I got to go see this movie with my tia, who I'm very, very close with, and it was just really beautiful to be able to sit there next to her, and we got to see this huge family on screen, Latin American family on screen, and you know, I come from a very big Latin American family, so it was just really beautiful to be able to see that on screen and to witness it there with her, and it was just a very memorable experience for me. So I highly recommend that you guys go see it. Definitely grab your family members because it'll be that much more special. Now I'm going to go ahead and get into some of the things that I really, really enjoyed about this movie, and also some of the things that I wish were different. I mean, with every movie, there's always gonna be some slight critiques, even if you loved it. And so I'm gonna kind of go through those right now. So the first thing that I really wanna draw attention to is the soundtrack. The soundtrack was phenomenal. It was fun, it was lively, it really transported me personally to my own childhood. It kind of took me back listening to Latin American music growing up. The songs were written by Lin-Manuel Miranda, who I'm hoping most of you know who that is, but for those of you who don't, I would say his most notable work is probably Hamilton and In the Heights. And he is a very, very talented songwriter, and this, I mean, just solidified even more how talented he is. I think what was really, really impressive is that, and I don't know if I'm wrong on this, I didn't get a chance to kind of look it up, but the voice actors and actresses in the film also sang the music throughout the movie, which I think is really impressive. And my favorite songs in this movie were sung by popular Latin American artists. For example, Carlos Vives is one of my favorite singers. I love his music. And in this soundtrack, he specifically sings the main title song, Encanto. And it was just such a fun song, and honestly, when I think of this movie, that's the first song that I think of. And I kind of wish, if I'm being honest, they would have used him more. I wish they had utilized him more because it sounded like that was the only song he sang. And I don't know, I just love his voice so much, so I wish they would have used him more. I also really enjoyed the song that was sung by Sebastian Yatra. It was just beautifully done, and I, again, wish they had utilized his vocals a little bit more as well. Just both guys did phenomenal in terms of delivering a beautiful song for this movie, and I just wish I heard them a little bit more throughout the soundtrack. I will say, as much as I love musical numbers and songs, if you're not a musical person, you're probably not going to enjoy this movie. So I will throw that in there. Although I liked it, just giving you a warning that if you're not into those types of movies, you're probably not going to enjoy this one because they are scattered throughout the whole entire film. The next thing that I want to talk about, which is probably the most important thing that everyone's going to wonder, is the plot line predictable? And I am happy to report that it's not. It will take a very unexpected turn, and that's something that I was really excited about, because the one thing I was really fearful about in terms of this movie was a predictable plot. And it's definitely not that. You will be pleasantly surprised. I know that I was. There are some things that are not that surprising, but overall, the general premise is surprising. The next thing I want to talk about in terms of this movie is that it really highlighted and put a spotlight on family dynamics, which I think is really important to see play out on screen, or played out on screen, I should say, because, you know, families can get messy. And what's crazy is that a lot of us like to put up a front that we have this, you know, big, happy family, but you know, everyone has their drama and everyone has their fights. And what I really love about this movie is it draws attention to family dynamics that aren't so perfect. For example, let's say we have, you know, family member A and family member B, and they have a really great relationship with one another. They love each other. They can talk to each other about everything. But then family member A might have a really bad relationship with family member Z. So it was just really interesting to see the different shifts within the family itself and how certain characters really got along with one another, but other family members just had some tension. I also really like that this movie played a lot with perception, because the thing is everyone has a story to tell. And I've been told this my whole life, this saying of, you know, there's two truths and a lie, right? There's one person's story, the other person's story, and the truth. And I feel like this movie really highlights that idea that everyone has a different perception of things. So just because one person says, you know, certain events went down this way or things happened this way, that doesn't necessarily mean that that's exactly what happened. That's just the way they perceived things happening. So I love that this movie does kind of do some shifts and gives you different family members' perspectives about different events that had happened. In addition to that, I also really liked that this movie really focused on the black sheep of the family and how the black sheep of the family might feel. This movie just did a really good job of making you empathize with Mirabel, and you just felt every emotion that she felt, or at least I did personally. I cried several times because I just really felt for her, and all she wanted was to just fit in and be like everyone else. And I know I have had many moments in my life where I felt like that. So it was just very powerful to see a character who just doesn't fit in and just kind of walks to the beat of their own drum. They did a really good job of bringing this character to life and just making her so likable and also very relatable. And that kind of leads me into the characters. The characters were just awesome. I mean, there seriously is a character for everyone, I feel like. Again, I said this before, I have a huge extended family, and when I watched this movie, I felt like each of the different characters reminded me of my own family members, and they're great. They're just so different from one another. They all bring something different to the table, and each has like a very standout personality. Like, I don't feel like any character, you know, didn't matter or wasn't memorable. They all were memorable in their own ways. I started off really feeling like I was a Mirabel and really feeling like, oh, that's the character I identify with most. But as the movie kind of moved on, I kind of felt like I was a little bit more like Isabella, who's the older sister. And I think now that the movie has concluded, I actually do feel like I'm a little bit of both of those characters. And again, it's just cool when you have characters on screen that you can identify with and you see a little part of yourself in them. I also want to say that I really love that Disney decided to do a movie based in Colombia. I think it is really important that Disney keeps this going with the introduction of different cultures in their movies. It's just so beautiful to see on screen somebody else's culture that you may not know much about, seeing that on screen and being able to learn little bits and pieces from the movie. Like, obviously I know a lot about Latin America, but maybe there are some individuals who don't know very much about Latin America. So this is kind of a cool way for them to be kind of introduced or maybe learn a little bit more. And it may seem silly because it's an animated movie, but I actually think animated movies can serve as a really important vessel of information and exposure. I personally feel like movies in general just have a way of bringing us together. And I definitely feel like the theater that I was in, with the individuals sitting in there, we all felt a sense of connection to one another and, you know, watching this movie and experiencing it together for the first time. And the last thing I want to say is the voice acting was superb. They did fabulous. Each individual seemed very passionate about the role. And I say that they seemed very passionate because I saw some clips of the voice actors and actresses behind the scenes when they're recording, and they just seemed so energetic about this project. They seemed like they were very passionate about this project, and I definitely feel like that passion and energy came across in the movie. Well, that concludes this movie review. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I really hope that you get a chance to go out and see Encanto because it is a wonderful movie, and honestly, I don't think you're gonna regret it. As always, thanks for being my guest here at Disney Daily. Until next time.